Many of you have asked me, what are some of the basics for an updo? Because people hear me say again and again that there are just a handful of techniques that work with all hair and all hairstyles, you know, whether we're talking cutting techniques or coloring techniques or updo techniques. And so when it comes to an updo, and certainly one on yourself, what are the basic things you need to know that make every single updo work? I'm going to tell you. First thing, just I'm going to lay it all out. Teasing. Teasing is your friend. Do not be worried about damaging your hair. You'd be amazed what your hair can go through. Definitely if you have significant breakage already, like you're really, really bleached out, don't tease your hair. At that point, get yourself a protein treatment and don't go in the sun. But for most people's hair, teasing is not going to ruin your hair. It's just going to give you good volume, and you need that for an updo. Another thing teasing is going to do is it's going to give you a network that not only other hair is going to stick to, but that bobby pins can embed themselves in. So that way you get that really sturdy updo that is going to look the same 18 hours later as it did now, and that's a really long day. Next thing that's important is a good hairspray and bobby pin technique. Oh yes, there is a such thing as bobby pin technique, and there is a such thing as using a bobby pin wrong. So we're going to go over all that. First of all, let's talk about your comb. There are different schools of thought on this. Some people like a really big fat comb. This is good, say you have really thick hair, or really dense hair, but it's really fine. So you just have a lot of hair to go through, but maybe it doesn't need to get super tangled because it already is pretty sturdy. You might want to use a wider comb. Then there's a school of thought that likes that which is actually called a teasing comb, and you'll see on here that we actually have some tiny little teeth in between the ridges, and that can be really useful for really getting it nice and tangled at the root so you have that strong network. I personally don't like to use this one. I feel like it can get too tangled, and when I'm trying to smooth out the top, then I feel like I have extra work to do. But again, just a different school of thought that you should be aware of. My preference is to use a weaving comb. It's called a weaving comb because it's actually used for coloring hair. But the reason I like this is that the teeth are relatively close together, but they're far enough apart that it's not going to get my hair too tangled, and I love the end because that's going to allow me later on to kind of double check the updo and poke pieces of hair in if they're sticking out without disrupting the entire updo. So let's really fast talk about hairspray. I like a hard hold hairspray. That's really all I use anyway. Light hairsprays are great, but unless your hair is really, really fine, honestly, I find that by the end of the day it's just going to wear off. My favorites for updos are probably the Schwarzkopf Osis hairspray or the Sexy Concepts Big Sexy Hair. I believe that one is called Hard Head. It's a really great updo spray as well. I also like to use a spray wax. This one is also by Schwarzkopf, and it's called Sherbet. The reason I like a spray wax is that it's going to give me something I can spray directly into my hands at the end to give me a slightly bit of a tacky quality, but something that's also smoothing. That's going to allow me to put just those finishing touches on an updo to make it look really, really sharp. And let me see, finally, depending on what you're doing, a curling iron or even a flat iron to create curl. For what I'm doing today, we are not going to use either of those because I'm just going to show you a basic French twist, and that's kind of a good beginning of any updo anyway, so let's get started.